we've got to talk about how the Conservatives are going mad. And they're going mad, just to be clear, because they're trying to serve two masters. And you can't serve two masters without, obviously, a contradiction. This is, I think, probably Machiavelli, one of his dictums. You can't serve two masters, but it's doubtless ancient, because obvious. And so let's begin with those massively popular things, such as nightclub jabs. You won't be allowed to go into nightclubs unless you have a COVID passport. Everyone's furious about this. The only people who seem to be in favour of it are the government and the Labour Party.
Don't worry, 71% of the public are in favour of it.
Exactly. 71% of Westminster are in favour of it. So Boris has said repeatedly that he wants to lift the restrictions. And it's so weird how he's like Two-Face or something like that, right? He flips a coin and he's either, libertarian, English patriot Boris or communist Boris. And so you can get like various contradictory statements. Boris is like, oh, we need to lift all of England's COVID restrictions despite the rise in cases, because if not now, then when? Good point, libertarian Boris. And so all of the limits about how people can meet and what social distancing rules are all that are over, and the face coverings are optional, which they were before. But only fully vaccinated people will be allowed to enter nightclubs and other big events by the end of September. Why has the scarred-faced Boris come out and been like, yeah, so you're not allowed to go near each other? Why? Why are you doing this? Who's pulling the strings here, Boris? It's mad. So everyone in the nightclub industry is like, what? You can't do this. The entire sector has apparently reacted with anger. Michael Kill of
I would too if the government were just like, death to your industry.
Yes, that's exactly what they're doing. The Nighttime Industries Association calls it an absolute shambles. Stock markets across the UK have dropped sharply on the fear that rising cases will hamper economic recovery, blah, blah, blah. And Keir Starmer is like, well, lifting restrictions is reckless. Who asked for your opinion? Like, nobody likes you, Keir. Go away. And so and they're going to start trying to obviously vaccinate children because they need it for no reason. And in Scotland, of course, everyone's looking at all the Celtic areas are looking at England, getting on with life. And I imagine they're like, right, okay, can we maintain these lockdowns for much longer? So, okay, well, we're going to start loosening them as well. And so the main response to this from the Conservatives who were resisting this were people like Ian Duncan Smith, who were like, well, I mean, this hasn't been very well thought out. I don't care if it is. I don't care if it's the most brilliantly thought out plan the Conservatives have ever come up with. It's immoral, you retard. Sorry. Like, it's immoral to do that.
Cambodian killing fields weren't very well thought out.
Yeah, exactly. If they were better organised, I might be in favour of this. Like, it's awful, right? Because this is creating second-class citizens. And this was a statement that Boris came out. Again, we flip the coin and we get the evil Two-Face. Oh, breaking. Boris Johnson says, some of life's most important pleasures and opportunities are likely to be increasingly dependent on vaccination. Are you insane? You are literally going to create a caste system. You are going to create two-tiered second-class citizens. People who have either, they might be at risk from the vaccination because of, I don't know, blood clots or something like that. They might have blood problems, whatever it is. Or they just might not want to have the government force them to have something in their body that they don't want to have. My body, my choice, if that matters. Can we get, friendly libertarian Boris to pop up and go, yeah, that's a good point. One point, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Libertarian Boris was killed.
Well, he pops out from time to time. It depends how the coin flip goes. It's just the coin flip on this one being like, no, you second-class citizens don't get access to pubs and nightclubs and restaurants and, opportunities that will be increasingly dependent on vaccination. Like, this is the Soviet Union and you're going to be asked for papers, please?
What's stopping him from doing the Australian no jab, no pay?
Nothing. Nothing at all, because the government's gone mad and has run totally mad with power, right? And so, yeah, let's carry on. So there is at least going to be some kind of rebellion in the Conservative Party about this. Oh, thank God. Some of the, I say actual Conservatives, some of the members of the Conservative Party are like, should we be running Soviet Russia? Is that how Britain should be run? Do we need every...
Is that why I joined the Conservative Party?
Exactly.
One man says yes.
Yeah, exactly. The party leader says yes. The leader of the Labour Party says yes. Yeah. And the Greens, the Liberal Democrats, and all of the other parties, apart from, the Reclaim Party, Reform Party, and the Heritage Party. Like, they're the only ones who are like, this is tyrannical, we should stop this.
The idea that you go to, Tory conference and you're doing, interviews, why did you join the Tory Party? To institute a caste system. Why else?
Yeah. Why did you join the Tory Party? To make sure that everyone had mandatory papers and guards on every corner, actually. Why?
That's right. I'm a conservative.
It's ridiculous. And so a bunch of Conservative MPs are believing that Boris might actually face a rebellion over this, because at least 42 MPs have signed a cross-party Big Brother Watch declaration against COVID status certification to deny individuals access to general services, businesses, or jobs in recent months. But why is this even on the table? Boris, what are you doing? Why are you being the mad king who's decided one day to be nice and happy and fluffy and the other day to tyrannize your own subjects? Why are you doing this? Who's making you do this? And the thing is, I think we could probably guess about because of the G7 or whatever it was that was in Cornwall that infected Cornwall with a bunch of coronavirus. But what are you going to do about that? But
It's not important. Who cares about the virus?
Yeah, exactly. We're busy controlling people over here. But anyway, so the issue is going to be raised on today, in fact, in the meeting of the 1922 Committee of Backbenchers, which is now led by 3 skeptics of COVID passports. I love it. Skeptics of COVID.
Skeptical.
I'm not sure about these
radically
COVID passports.
opposed. What are you doing?
Exactly. I'm not sure. Will they be orderly? Will there be an orderly rollout of these COVID passports? Because then I would be okay with this.
I'm a Nazi skeptic, don't you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's mad, right? Keir Starmer is apparently undecided about which way Labour will vote. The goal is open, Keir, right? It's a massive open goal because it's not like he hasn't already said that COVID passports are un-British. He has. He was like, well, I mean, it seems like the sort of thing China would do. Like, he didn't say that, of course, but that's exactly what he
the
must be
socialist in
thinking.
him is going to be like, I've got to do it though, can't we?
Yeah, exactly. How can I resist this? More increasing control.
I feel so bad because there are a lot of people who vote Labour because they don't know about the insanity of the party, let's say.
Yeah.
And then they're thinking like, why are they not being the opposition? Remember the pub landlord who was just like, come on, like you're meant to be the opposition, oppose him.
Yeah, he kicked him out.
And then Keir was just like, nah. I just love supporting lockdowns, mate.
But I really agree with everything that he's doing when it's tyrannical. It's like, oh, thanks, Keir. Anyway, Keir Starmer had called them un-British, but he doesn't know what he's going to do. I might vote for it. It's quite un-British, but I'm in favour of it. It's just...
Is that not Labour policy? It's anti-British.
Yeah.
Based. I mean, that's them, isn't it?
I'm surprised he didn't say based. Steve.
I love the idea that in Labour HQ, that's how they live their lives.
Yeah.
It's just like the cringe and based meme, but like bizarro reverse.
Yeah. Steve Baker is one of the main opponents. Steve Baker is the mythical libertarian, the sole libertarian in the Conservative Party, who we hear as a libertarian but never does anything or is useful in any way, shape, or form, which basically summarizes libertarianism. There is nothing I can do or Conservatives can do if Labour continue to decline to oppose the government's illiberal policies. There we go. Libertarians, there's nothing we can do. Thanks, Libertarian. What good is that? What good is that? What point? Unbelievable. And he's like, this is really all about Sir Keir, who described this policy as un-British. Good. I'm glad we've established that. The Prime Minister is un-British. The Conservatives broadly are un-British. The Labour Party are un-British. And the one guy who's appealing to, English values of liberty is like, there's nothing I can do. Great.
I'm only an MP.
Yeah, I'm only an MP. Nothing I can do. Don't know, Steve. Don't know. I wish there was something. But a former minister is braced for another U-turn. This is an anonymous minister who they spoke to saying, my sense about the government is that they've become a racing car that always ends up at the same spot they started at, drifting to the right, then straight back and onto the stands again. It's just reacting to this, reacting to that. A scientist or a public opinion poll. There is
whatever the vaccine minister has paid them to make.
Yeah, whatever the vaccine minister wants to have happen. There is little sense that there's a clear plan. We've changed it so often. There is no clear plan. This is the problem. Again, the Conservatives trying to serve two masters. They're trying to appease the Labour Party. Now, I find that bizarre because they can absolutely dominate the Labour Party on everything that they do, which we will talk about shortly, because when they actually get it into their mind to go, oh, no, wait, there is actually something British that we should do, some pro-British action we should take, they all just vote and then it goes through and the Labour Party is just there screeching like a bunch of children. Now, that's how things should be.
Every day.
Every day of, not just every day, 5 or 6 times a day. How many pieces of legislation did Tony Blair pass a day?
5 a day, I think, at peak.
Right, okay, do that. Do that. Every day, 5 times a day. I want to hear "Wee" from off in the distance from the Labour Party screeching all the way from Westminster. That's what I should hear every goddamn day, right? But anyway, turns out we're going to get those vaccine passports. It's going to happen. Boris has been like, yep, no, it's going to happen. People will need to be fully vaccinated to get into nightclubs and crowded venues by October. Boris Johnson has confirmed. So the coin... Oh, the evil face. God damn it.
You get it 71% of the time.
Yeah. The Prime Minister put clubs on notice tonight as he bizarrely warned of the continuing risk posed by nightclubs. Ah, yes. All of those old people died because they were out clubbing. If only Boris had shut the nightclub sooner, we wouldn't have 150,000 COVID deaths.
Oh, man.
So stupid. It's so transparently a lie. I'm surprised Fauci hasn't come up and given his endorsement to Boris at this point. But he says, and the thing is, right, this came 17 hours, exactly 17 hours after he gave the legal order for them to be able to reopen. So he said, yeah, open up. And then the coin lands, not for the nightclubs, though. You need your vaccinations.
Well, it was great Freedom Day. I was like, right, okay, the freedom's come back, and then just in the evening, how about I just spoil everything? Great.
Couldn't you have just taken the afternoon off, Boris? Anyway, so this is obviously the contradiction, and the Prime Minister told the press conference that from the end of September, being fully vaccinated will be a condition to the entry of nightclubs and other venues where large clubs gather. And on pubs, he added, I don't want to get into a situation where people are asked to reduce papers, which I assume the Mirror mean produce papers, to go anywhere to enjoy any of the pleasures that they do, but did not rule it out. Okay, so we got a few seconds of the brief happy face Boris. Yeah, I don't want that. We know you don't, but you're doing it. So why are you doing it? Like, I don't want that, but I'm going to do it. Well, then who's got the gun to your head? Tell us who's putting the gun in your back, Boris. We need to know so we can deal with them, because we need our elected representatives to actually do what they're elected to do. Anyway, so this probably won't even work, as the Royal Navy have found out recently. One of our flotillas, it's nice to know that we still have flotillas, actually, to be fair. So more than 100 cases of the coronavirus are reported aboard the Royal Navy's new aircraft carrier and its escorting group of warships, despite the fact every single sailor on these boats has been double vaccinated. Every single one. 100 cases of coronavirus. Oh, we can't have people spreading coronavirus in nightclubs. You've all got to be double vaccinated. That doesn't stop it. What now? You didn't stop it. Didn't work.
No one's even trying to claim that getting double vaccinated means you can't get the thing. It's meant to be that you can't die from it.
Yeah.
So then, what is any of this argument? None of this has anything to do with the spread of the virus.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, if 87% of the people have had one dose and then 69% or something nice have had two, then couldn't help myself. Then what's the problem? You know, the death rates are just not reflective of the fear and the control that's being imposed on us. And of course, as you brought up earlier, the petition to Parliament, if we can scroll down, John, so we can see how many people have signed it at this point. 239,000. This petition will be linked in the show notes and we'll put it out on our social media. Go and sign it. You have to sign it. You have to. We have to be able to show that there's a huge, huge number. And 230,000 is good, but it should be 1 million. So make sure that you share this with your family and friends, everyone you know, post it on every social media. Email it to people, email it to parliamentarians. Get them like, look, we're all signing this. You should sign it. Get on the, if you don't sign this, I'm not voting for you again. I need to be able to see your signature, my MP, on this, or else. This is what we should be doing. We'll skip over the YouGov stuff because I knew that you'd done this. And so, yeah, just going into the other things that the Conservatives have done. So this is absolutely mad. I don't know why they think that this is a good idea. Now, to be clear, nobody hates journalists more than I do. Right. And I think I have more than enough reason to hate journalists for what they have done to me in the past and what they've done to my friends and the people I care about and the general country at large and the public as it is. So I don't like journalists. I think they're generally a class full of scum, absolute scum. They're dumb. They're awful. I'm not a journalist. I'm a commentator. John's calling me a journalist, and I resent that remark.
I don't work for BuzzFeed.
Yeah, exactly. I don't work for BuzzFeed, exactly. And for some reason, the Home Office has decided that, maybe we should have anything that embarrasses us come with a 14-year jail sentence. It's like, wow. As much as I hate journalists, I don't think we should be locking them up for over a decade for embarrassing the government. I know I have to say it. I just don't know where Steve Baker is on this. The silent libertarians once again. But maybe, just because the government's embarrassed by a leak, this obviously being talking about the Matt Hancock leak, and that they're like, right, so someone should go to jail for 14 years for that. No. Why?
This is obvious corruption by the state.
Yes.
So this has been mentioned in Yes Minister multiple times, because I believe they're also doing this under the Official Secrets Act.
They are.
They want to do it. And it's like, right, okay, that is literally the joke within the civil service. Whenever you guys mess up, you're just like, Official Secrets Act. What are you going to do about it?
Exactly.
That's your cope.
That's exactly what it is. And so
just not cheat on your wife. I mean, that'll work.
Well, yeah.
I mean, you've got to wonder, though, considering Priti Patel as being the one proposing this, I wonder what she's up to. Just going to say it.
Ooh, good point. Anyway, so yeah, of course, this was endorsed by Priti Patel, and they want to. They're arguing in the consultation, because it's currently going through a consultation at the moment, that the disclosures can be worse than spying because the work of a foreign spy will often only be to benefit the benefit of a single state or actor. But if something gets leaked to the press and we look silly, that's to what, everyone's benefit? And so that's bad? It's to everyone's benefit if Matt Hancock gets fired for being a philandering liar.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. But that's good, because we're the public, and you want things to benefit us. Why are you acting against our interest in your own?
It's like the term public interest they use all the time when you get in power. It's like public interest. Who's the public? Me and my friends.
Yeah, so they're calling on Parliament to increase maximum sentences, and the Home Office claims that there's now not necessarily, quote, a distinction in severity between espionage and the most serious unauthorized disclosures, including onward disclosure in the press, which means that they have erased the distinction between a spy breaking into the House of Parliament and stealing some papers or something, and a journalist being leaked something by a minister and reporting it because it's in the public interest.
Such as cheating on your wife.
Such as cheating on your wife. Such as breaking your own coronavirus restrictions, which was the main problem. And this is essentially going to be criminalizing a great deal of important journalism. And again, I hate the journalists, but maybe they shouldn't be locked up for telling us what's happened. Because it's so rare when they actually do something useful.
I'm actually going to agree with Ian Hislop here. It's not a pretty press, but it's a free press.
Yes.
They print a lot of just lies, outright lies, and they know they are.
Yeah.
But you can just not buy it.
Yeah, and so that's awful. The Daily Mail and The Guardian somehow on the same page on an issue. I mean, that's how bad this is. The Daily Mail and The Guardian both agree that this is probably a bad idea. Probably shouldn't do it. Again, Steve Baker, do you have anything to say about any of this? God, I'm so sick of these libertarians. So, if you're a libertarian, you should be angry at them too, because you've got a very strong ground at this point to argue from, being like, well, let me tell you about civil liberties if you don't mind, would be nice. And so finally, I guess not even finally, we're continuing on. So Boris apparently didn't want the lockdowns, as we hear from the Alcibiades of the Conservative government, Dominic Cummings. He's not nearly handsome or athletic or successful enough to really be...
He's not slept his way to the top, hopefully.
He hasn't won any wars. He hasn't conquered any cities. But he is making life difficult for the Conservatives, which is fine, to be honest, at this point. I actually hate the Conservatives now. But it's not making anything better for anyone, really. But apparently, and I love this, Boris was restricted... Again, we get the light-faced Boris, the two faces, comes up on the good side of the coin. Boris was reluctant to tighten COVID restrictions as cases rose last autumn because he thought the people dying from it were essentially all over 80, Dominic Cummings has claimed. Well, that's because that was true.
That's the NHS data, isn't it?
Yes, that's exactly the NHS data. And he said, I no longer buy all this NHS overwhelmed stuff. Because it wasn't. It was nowhere near being overwhelmed.
Do they have the screenshot in here?
No, but David Lammy's got that, and we'll go to that next. And so Johnson...
The thing is, you can see it's in a WhatsApp chat. He's written this, where he's just average age of death with COVID.
Well, yeah, we'll get the David Lammy up. I love David Lammy's response to this. Can we go for it? Tens of thousands have already died by this point. Boris Johnson's a total disgrace. And what did he say? I must say that I've been slightly rocked by some of the data on COVID fatalities. Right, okay, so Boris is about to cite some facts at us, David, you fat prat. The median age is 82, 81 for men and 85 for women. That is above life expectancy, so get COVID and live longer. It's not wrong. It's not wrong at all. Hardly anyone under 60 goes into hospital, 4%, and virtually all survive. I no longer buy all of this NHS overwhelmed stuff. Folks, I think we need to recalibrate. Well, if only the Prime Minister could be reached to tell him this information so he could change the course in which the country is going. It's a shame he seems to be absent, doesn't it? If only Boris got elected to the leadership of the country, because then he'd be able to enact this kind of plan. You're the Prime Minister.
But the thing on my mind is just I wonder what the response was in here, because you only see the message from Boris.
Yeah.
I mean, we're assuming this is true because it comes from Dominic Cummings, who's been releasing a whole bunch of these, and therefore I'd love to see the response underneath. What was the response to this? What was the counter argument?
Yeah, what are they going to say? Well, I mean, the data does say that, but fear-mongering. Anyway.
But Boris, what about my vaccine stonks?
yeah. I have got a lot of money invested in this, Boris. So you're going to have to get everyone vaccinated. But anyway, moving on. So COVID is not ravaging the country. Don't know why I have to say that. Just it hasn't been for quite some time. Recent data shows that despite rising case numbers, the 7-day rolling death rate is just 40. Compared to 654 on December the 26th, when it was close to the current rate of 45,000 infections a day. So back in December, when we had the same sort of rate of infections, it was more than 10 times higher, probably like 13 times higher. And now it's much, much less important. Death rates in England and Wales are currently, and this is just general death rates in England and Wales, currently 5.2% below the 5-year average, according to the Office of National Statistics.
Take the win.
COVID accounts for 1.2% of the deaths. Why are we talking about this? I'm more interested in talking about heart conditions or whatever makes up like 30% of the deaths. Lung cancers that make up probably
Like
another...
if you were the health minister, that'd be the thing.
I'd be like, why? I'm not interested in talking about COVID. My God. Why would I... I imagine more people die from falling down the stairs at this point. Like, this is ridiculous. Hospital admissions are a quarter of what they are, or what they were at the same point during the last comparable wave. The NHS is fine. Most people aren't dying of COVID. Most people aren't even getting sick from COVID. It's a really small issue, and yet vaccine passports. It must be about money. For some reason, though, this is not the end of it. I don't know why the Conservatives have gone absolutely barking at this point. Fake reviews online are going to be criminalised, apparently.
So meme reviews, because that's what that is.
Oh, you went on Amazon and posted a meme review? Well, that's illegal now, son. Why? Who demanded this? It must have been,
I gotta think of like Amy's Baking Company from Kitchen Nightmares, in which she's complaining that there are fake reviews online saying my business was bad. That's all that comes to mind. Because I can't think of why else you'd be upset about joke reviews.
Are there reviews for Pfizer vaccines or something? Like AstraZeneca vaccines?
I can look at the HQ, I bet it's got Google reviews.
Exactly, right. So, like, I can only assume that this is the vaccine company saying we don't like people posting stuff, like, any effect that our vaccines may have had on them that were unexpected. Anyway, moving on. For some reason, wolf whistling is going to be criminalised now because we've got a Labour government. I guess Prime Minister Jess Phillips has finally taken control, and it's going to become a specific crime.
Wolf whistling.
Because I'm a conservative.
Right. Who's harmed by the wolf whistle? Like whistling at a woman.
Ugly chicks who don't get whistled at.
If it was unwanted contact...
Vicky's laughing because she obviously gets wolf whistled.
But if it was unwanted contact over a period of time, then you could the harassment already covers that. Because if you harass someone, you didn't have to do it physically. Like, that's already there. But the wolf whistling... One time, that's a crime now.
Mad. Anyway, moving on.
Will be if they pass.
Migrants are arriving on our shores in record numbers. Illegal immigrants, of course. Yesterday, 430 migrants arrived on our shores. This was a new single-day record. This year, all of last year, we received 8,000 illegal immigrants who were just sailing across the channel because apparently we still don't have a navy anymore. They're all ill with coronavirus, I guess. And this year, to this point... we've had 8,500, so we've had more than ever before, and they're not stopping. And Keir Starmer decided to weigh on this, and you can imagine how ridiculous this point was. The Conservatives just voted to make it harder to give a safe haven to children fleeing violence and war. They should be ashamed.
You got a picture of these children?
I don't have a picture, but there wasn't a single child.
The front page picture of, the day when most of them came, is just this massive guy who's clearly like in his 40s with a big beard and chest hair going, oh.
Yeah, just give them. And it's like, what the hell is this invader doing here?
It's a child, don't you know?
He is obviously part of an invasion force. And so the Conservatives did something about this, and of course Labour were furious. The Nationality and Borders Bill actually went through because, remember, Conservatives, you have a stonking majority. They can't stop you. They can't stop you fixing things. Labour tried to block it, but of course they were outvoted by 94 votes. Nowhere near stopping it. Nowhere near. They had absolutely nothing. And
is this the Rwandan solution?
Nearly. We'll get to that. I mean, yes, it includes that. Yeah. But this is the thing, though, right? Notice that every Labour MP voted to have more refugees. Every single one. They don't care about the border integrity of the country.
Refugees. They're not legitimate.
Illegal invaders coming across the channel from France. because France being obviously the adult men invading the country from France.
They're legitimate refugees. They didn't vote for them. They voted for the people in France who just want to go for it.
Yes, who already have safe harbour in France. But anyway, the bill includes clauses to allow the UK to be able to send asylum seekers to a safe third country and submit claims at a designated place. Of course, we're going to be we're considering sharing the processing centre with Denmark in Rwanda. Based Denmark, good idea. And revive speculations about the Ascension Island Processing Centre as well. To be honest with you, I'd definitely go for the Rwandan one. And interestingly as well, this allows provisions for us to simply put them in jail. Look at all those children. See all those children? All of them? Any women, children? No, they're all adult men. But the bill will allow authorities to prosecute thousands of asylum seekers who illegally come across the channel with sentences of up to 4 years. It will introduce life sentences for people smugglers and enable asylum seekers to be processed offshore and give the border force new powers to prevent crossings. Good. So, good conservative face, evil conservative face. Just serve the good one. Serve the right thing. Don't do what Labour want.
Do it every day.
And they literally can't stop you. But I love the Labour cope on this as well. We'll finish in this. So Labour MPs all voted against this, of course, because they want foreign men to invade our country for some reason. The Shadow Home Office Minister, Bambos Charalambos, is that real? That sounds like a parody. That can't be real. Is that actually his name?
Probably.
Bambos Charalambos. Labour Shadow Home Office Minister.
I'll Google it.
That can't be true. That must be a joke. This is.
No, it's probably just yeah, it's real. Yeah.
What? Okay. So, Bambos Charalambos.
It's a funny name. It's also the Shadow Minister for Immigration, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder if he's an immigrant. He said, it was riddled with holes, fatally flawed and will not work. It won't work because a glaring omission is the lack of bilateral agreements with France and other countries. Well, that's the point, isn't it? If we criminalise crossing, we don't need an agreement with France, and we can deport them to Rwanda, which I'm sure will go brilliantly. But anyway, Labour described the bill as unhinged and attacked ministers for trying to put themselves above the law. Oh, yeah. Okay, Labour. We get it. You are the party of open borders, and unfortunately... Well, no, actually, the Conservatives have done something about the borders here, which is nice. You know, they've done something actually conservative for once. But yes, anyway, one interesting thing from this as well is that, of course, with all of these migrants coming along, people can just ask them questions because there's no procedure. And one group of people arrived on a border force vessel, which included a boy of 8 and a girl. There was one child and one woman.
Why is that newsworthy?
Exactly. Why is that newsworthy?
Because it's not common, is it?
No, but one African migrant, I wonder how many safe countries he had to pass through to get to bloody Dover. This is not the first nearest country, is it? Anyway, he told photographers that the group had paid £3,000 each for the 10-hour crossing, and now you're going to jail.
Well,
Stay at home. No,
Stay
at home.
It's a good solution.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're safe in France. You're a liar if you come over from France. If you're a legitimate refugee, then we'll give you safe haven. If you're a liar, you will get jail.
And you're wasting your money. Don't come. Just don't come. If you enjoyed this segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can watch the full broadcast live every weekday at 1 p.m. UK time on lotuseaters.com.